So if you want to be good at something, you must practice. So that, I think, can be said of most things, developing good social skills included. And this morning, registered counsellor Shanaz Moos joins us on the couch to share some tips on how parents can help their children develop important social skills that will probably be survival skills when they are adults. Shanaz, always so good to connect with you. So my child, when he's talking to me, talks like a 12-year-old who's studying a university degree, is just the most amazing intellectual being. He meets a stranger in a shopping aisle somewhere, and the first thing that comes out of his mouth is poop stink. And how do we develop these social skills within our children? Because they're kids after all, and you want them to be kids.
Yeah, you know what? There's also the social skills. I think sometimes when I meet adults, I wonder, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Some big gaps here. With just, it's basic skills we use to interact and communicate with other people, and they can be taught. So this thing about children will naturally evolve into etiquette, manners, and no, it's a skill they see and that they learn.
That's a difficult one because I think most of us, when we go into our home environment, we want to be relaxed. And I'm quite a silly parent, as you can imagine, with my kids. And I like that vibe and that energy between us. But as you've quite rightly pointed out, you're actually doing them a disservice later in life if they don't have that foundation. So how do we go about knowing that they're going to be sponges absorbing all of our own behavior? What do we need to be doing to be able to establish those ground rules?
So we actually need to just check in where our kids are with basic social skills like listening, following directions and instructions.
Just listen to me.
Yeah, with the F word thrown in. So those are the simple stuff. Then there's a little bit complex things like problem-solving skills, you know, conflict resolution, when you're being bullied or being picked on. So those are all part of social skills that children learn. So we as a parent get faced with many scenarios like your kids are fighting. Hello, this is a conflict. You know, so how do you, and you must teach kids how to work things out. We often intervene and slice through the conflict instead of empowering the kids to understand how to work out their own disagreement.
To be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it helps, I suppose, if there's siblings in the space because you can give them a bit of breathing room. Being able to ask a question, it might sound overly simplified, but it's probably one of the most important social skills we have. Certainly as an adult, you need to know how to ask that. How do we teach our children to ask questions in the right way?
That's one of the harder ones because obviously you're asking a child to have a level of self-esteem and confidence to initiate a conversation. You know how many kids don't put their hands up in class when they don't understand? So, or in the home setting where they're confused by what was just told to them. They're afraid to ask a question because of how we react. And we often say, weren't you listening? And it could be just, I need more clarity, I need a little bit more detail, or I need repetition, just plain, because we need to be able to, because when children ask questions, they take charge of their own learning.
Yeah.
Do you know? And that helps their brain development. So you must allow, I don't know if you're already in that stage with the why,
Yeah.
why. That drives parents crazy now. Not the why question, just like the other
It's more
questions.
because I often don't know the answer. I think that's why it upsets me. It's because you'll ask me a simple question. I'm like, I don't actually know. All of this being said, you still want to be able to protect your child in that space and kind of know their limits. You know, maybe using the example, you want your child to be gregarious and out there and to make friends, but maybe that's not their personality type. Why is it so important to know your child's limits, and how do you establish that kind of safe framework to operate with them?
So no secret, but I'm a very out there person. But I don't have out there children, not all of them. And my youngest was 14, told me the other day, but I don't like the attention on me, Mommy, I'm not like you. So he struggles with social anxiety since he was very little, and in grade 4, everyone had to write goals for the year. And, you know, first in maths, first in class, and all this academic. And I found my son's page in the classroom, and it said, make more eye contact. He actually, which is actually a social skill, he realized that eye contact is such a vital connector. So I don't know what age is grade 4, I mean, that's like a long time. But he knew that when I make eye contact, I connect with people, yet he couldn't because he was shy. So over the years, him and I have worked on self-esteem, worked on his soft skills, worked on his hard skills to get him to, he's quite a conversationalist now. People are very surprised when they meet him in the now, remembering how he couldn't look up and greet people, those kinds of things.
know their limitations, know your own limitations, I suppose, in that space. Maybe have a good hard look at yourself in that sense. Most likely the behavior that your child is exhibiting is either as a result of yours or they are mirroring your behavior in some way. Not every child is the same, but there are a couple of standards in parenting that really do work, and the bottom line is your child needs good social skills to survive as an adult. So we're going to continue on that discussion in just a moment. Shanaz is not going anywhere.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. A little bit earlier in the show, in fact, moments ago, registered counsellor Shanaz Moores shared her thoughts on the importance of developing good social skills and how parents can help their child with this and possibly help ourselves in the process. We're continuing that conversation right now. And I'm going to stress this because I've learned through all of our discussions in the past that so much of what we teach our child is exhibited by us more than us telling them. You know, they really do. So what does a good role model look like? How should we be behaving as parents in this crazy world of ours?
So, you know, we often think we are using our social skills when we interact with our kids, like saying please and thank you. But I've actually, I don't know how many years ago, my son pointed out to me, you never say please and you never say thank you.
Yet you're telling him to do it every time he engages with you.
So I processed that and realized, actually, yes, I give a command.
And he made eye contact with you when he said it as well.
This is my other son. This is my older son, who's 22 now. So you give a command and then you expect to be followed. I was a bit of a dictator back then, you know. Really? Angry mommy, she didn't take anything.
You keep saying this, I don't believe it, man.
Look here, so one day I'm going to bring a set of home movies with Angry Mommy on. I'm going to play a snippet for you, and then you're going to put it next to this mommy, and you would not know these two ladies are not the same lady, but they are still me.
The value of process work, and a child will hold that mirror up to your face, and you've got to come to grips with yourself. Listening. It's something I struggle with as an adult, I think, certainly within relationship, and I get quite single-minded. You know, I call it tunnel vision, and you kind of feel like, but as the dad, the breadwinner, as the guy going out there and supporting the family, I've got to do this and I've got to, but it's vital. How do we encourage and foster and teach our children how to listen well? Because that's a really soft skill. It's a difficult one.
And it's a much needed one because it's an ongoing relationship breaker, maker or breaker. Your ability to listen to someone, not listen just to make as if you're hearing them, but to take the content in to process, because there's an emotional aspect to listening. And what people don't understand is that relationships suffer, even with your child, when you don't listen to them, yet you want them to listen to you. So it's a little bit, and I often see people like kids taking the mom's face and turning it and says, mommy, mommy, because they feel you're not listening, not making eye contact also, you know, or looking at your phone or whatever it is. The phone has been like killing listening skills. So people are like, yeah, I heard you, and then they rattle back, you want four, you want four, and like in this monotone, and there's no emotional connection in that listening.
Connect.
You need, so the listening part builds relationships and makes people feel heard, seen, and loved.
You mentioned the phone, and I'm going to kind of open a whole different can of worms here. We are seeing a particular kind of social skill being exhibited on social media, where so many of those skills, unfortunately, the teacher stepping in is going to be TikTok. It's going to be social media platforms that is portraying a certain kind of life, a certain kind of personality, a certain kind of facial expression. I mean, that's at the heart of so many of these little performances that appear. How do we kind of counterbalance that or put it in perspective for our children so that they understand that that's a version of reality, not reality?
Yeah, I live with a teenager, so I see these expressions that I ask, what is that? And it's something face, or this face is, Mom, you're so old. Or, so I always say, but that's not, my daughter always says what I used to say to her, your face is going to get stuck like that.
Yeah, if the wind changes direction.
He pulls this face, like, but it's part of social media that he's picked up, but it's like a reactionary face to something. So instead of saying something, he makes this face that just drives me insane. So that conversation about having a context, where does that come from? Oh, I see you keep doing this weird thing, or a gesture, or a face. Oh yeah, no, it's like, it's trending, it means this when you see that. So if you don't know what's going on, you are going to be...
Can you do the face?
No, how? No.
What does the face look like?
Makes my, it's got something to do with Jim Carrey in The Mask, I think. One of those. And if you ever watch The Mask, you'll know how ridiculously over the top.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's actually funny that we've come full circle because that's one of my son's favorite movies in the world. He absolutely loves it. Any final tips, sage words of advice for parents struggling, I think, with social development in that space?
A lot of the things can be learned by your behavior, but also role play. Role play listening, role play manners, role play etiquette. When you read a story, just check in between. Like, oh, what did you think about that? Or when you want to see your kids share your social skill, you acknowledge the sharing. Don't acknowledge the not sharing, because you want to acknowledge that which you want more of.
Okay.
So you have to, thank you for being so kind to your sister. Thank you for sharing with your brother. That is a builder of the children latch onto that feeling of affirmation, and that will help with social skills. Being self-propelled, they will actually do it more on their own.
Thank you. You can send me the invoice. This was a great session. I really enjoyed this one. There are tools that you can use to develop your own social skills and foster a really healthy social attitude in your children, because they're going to need it when they're grown up, whether they're introverted or extroverted. They need to be able to engage positively with the world around them.